With all the buzz surrounding James Harden recently, his future with the Houston Rockets is undoubtedly questionable now more than ever, and his relationship with the franchise may even turn for the worse this season, and enough to make him finally leave. Stick around and watch the entire video to know why all signs are leading to Harden's exit. But before we get onto the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click like to never miss out on more NBA news and updates from Ballers Culture. Now here are the telltale signs NBA star James Harden will be leaving the Houston Rockets. Number 1. Harden's consecutive postseason failures. Let's start with James Harden's recurring playoff frustrations. James Harden is regarded as one of the best players in the NBA because of his lethal Euro step and step back threes, which led him to multiple scoring titles and an MVP award. But despite having stacked offensive stats, Harden's biggest drawback is his ability to deliver big moments in high-stakes games in the postseason. For years, Harden had teams capable of mounting a championship run with all-stars such as Dwight Howard, Chris Paul, and Russell Westbrook. But the Golden State Warriors had always prevented Harden and the Rockets from ever advancing the finals. The only time the Rockets came close was during the 2018 NBA season before suffering one of the biggest choke jobs in NBA history to the Warriors. Harden was without CP3 due to injury, and Harden plus the rest of the Rockets threw up brick after brick in Game 7 versus the Warriors as Golden State went on to defeat them en route to another NBA title. By this point, it was clear that this had already become the start of Houston's downfall. Harden's title hopes continued to fade, and even with the reunion of Russell Westbrook, the Rockets still could not get the job done in the 2020 NBA playoffs. Only this time, the Los Angeles Lakers ousted them, causing more frustration for James Harden and the Rockets. Number 2. Harden trying to force his way to the Nets. Harden just wants to win a chip, and he wants to be in a new team to get him to that level. He very well knows at this point that staying with the Rockets is going to lead him further away from winning an NBA title. News broke out in November that James Harden rejected a $50 million contract extension for the Houston Rockets. Now Harden's message to Houston is very clear. It literally screams that he wants out of the Rockets organization. During the time of this tweet from senior NBA insider Woj, James Harden was primarily targeting to play with the Brooklyn Nets alongside Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. In Harden's mind, the idea of forming a powerhouse trio with Durant and Kyrie may be the final piece to the equation of winning a championship. In a way, it makes sense as you can just imagine the offensive force these three will put up should they end up in one roster. These are players who can do almost anything on the hardwood, and this is possibly the main idea that's resonating with Harden as to why Brooklyn is his first choice. Number 3. Harden's second option, join the Sixers. Well, if the potential mega trade between the Rockets and Nets doesn't happen, James Harden's next target destination is Philadelphia. The Philadelphia 76ers is the latest team on James Harden's shopping list in competing for a championship. Like the Nets, Harden wants to form a super team with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons to add more firepower to their style of play. This gives Philly another offensive weapon to put points on the board when needed. The Sixers had a successful roster overhaul during the offseason where they made key notable changes. They hired Doc Rivers as their new head coach, they acquired Seth Curry and Danny Green, and most importantly, named Daryl Morey as the new team president of basketball operations. Harden and Morey have a great relationship over the years, and it was Morey who was responsible for bringing Harden to the Rockets back in 2012. With all that said, the Rockets and Sixers are still currently having substantive talks regarding a blockbuster trade for James Harden. The Sixers still have enough cap space to negotiate a wise deal in order to not only get Harden, but also help retain their core players, Simmons and Embiid, in Philadelphia. Anything can still happen at this point, and this possible trade package is something that remains to be seen. Number 4. Harden intentionally missing practice. The Rockets started training camp last Sunday, but Harden was a no-show. The NBA requires players participating in training camp to quarantine in the days leading up to camp. But Harden wandered off and missed valuable time as the team was getting ready for the long season. Here's what Houston's new head coach, Stephen Silas, had to say about this issue.
And it is a setback. You know, you want your best player to be here, and there is a short window, as you've alluded to. As I said yesterday, we're working as if this is the 6th to the 23rd, so there is some time, but, it is a setback. I mean, I have to be honest and understand that this is a setback.
Obviously, Harden's head was elsewhere. Instead of hitting it hard in the team workouts to build chemistry with his new teammates, Harden was all about fun and games as he spent the time partying with Lil Baby at his birthday party at the Rockets' expense. Number 5. Bucks and Heat get into the party. New potential James Harden trade reports broke out just before the start of the NBA preseason. The Milwaukee Bucks and the Miami Heat have now joined in on James Harden's list of trade destinations along with Brooklyn and Philadelphia. It's quite a coincidence seeing the Bucks and Heat having the same interests in getting James Harden after the two faced each other in the Eastern Conference semifinals last season. But now that they are both in the picture, Milwaukee or Miami has a chance to snatch Harden away from Houston to prevent Brooklyn or Philly from getting him. In Milwaukee, we all know that Giannis Antetokounmpo will be the number 1 free agent heading into next year's free agency class. This offseason, the Bucks get rid of their 3 future first-round picks and a few others to get Drew Holiday to back him up with Chris Middleton in order to keep Giannis in town long-term. It'll be quite a menacing combo to see Antetokounmpo and Harden play on the same team if the Drew Holiday experiment fails this season. The Bucks will have to sacrifice either Middleton or Holiday to make room for Harden to make this work. On Miami's side, Harden knows that the Heat is a strong title contender in the Eastern Conference after last season's playoff run. And teaming up with the Miami Heat star Jimmy Butler is the most attractive idea for James Harden. Whatever head coach Ex Spoelstra is doing within the Heat system is clearly working. This surely showed when the Miami Heat team eliminated the first seed team Milwaukee Bucks and how the Heat was able to put up against the Los Angeles Lakers in the finals. For James Harden, this is a culture and a system that he wants to be a part of. Harden's current behavior of publicly announcing his team's wish lists ahead of the 2020-21 NBA season and trading team practice for partying at strip clubs makes it very clear that he is no longer interested in prolonging his stay within the Rockets franchise. This puts a serious dent to his relationship with his teammates, which could result in jeopardizing their performance as a whole during this season. Having said all of that, don't get James Harden wrong. Becoming an NBA champion is still very well within his intentions. But in his mind, the path to get there obviously doesn't include the Rockets in the picture anymore. What do you think of these reasons? Do you agree? Or do you have other reasons why Harden will be out of the Rockets? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, hit that like and subscribe button for more NBA videos. See you on the next one on Ballers Culture.